Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cinema Savvy, and a very happy new year to everyone who is watching at home. I am Tate. Hi, and you are joining me today for the first new film that I have seen this year, which dropped onto Netflix yesterday, this being the 4th of January 2024, and that is the psychological thriller, horror, real life biopic drama that is Society of the Snow, based on the events of a Uruguayan plane crash in the 1970s, which saw survivors go to the absolute limits to survive. And what a more fitting place to have it with snowy mountains in the background than today for this review. I want to hear your thoughts on this film. I want to see what people think of this film at home, or if you've seen one of the previous adaptations of this kind of event that took place before. Please comment down below on your thoughts on Society of the Snow, or possibly any of J.A. Bayona's other films, because we're going to be talking about his direction today. We're also going to be talking about some of the acting choices made in this film, and also the actual events that took place, because this is one of the most fascinating film concepts and ideas to take place. It's inspired loads of different things moving on, including TV shows like Yellow Jackets and other things like that. So I'm really intrigued to see what people's thoughts are down below. Now, let's get into it by going through the synopsis first for people who may not have heard of this film or even heard of the events that took place back in 1972. So, the flight of a rugby team crashes on the glacier in the Andes. A few passengers survive the crash and find themselves in one of the world's toughest environments to survive. Now, this is an event that's been told and retold a few times now through documentary formats, through YouTube documentaries, through an American feature-length film produced by Kathleen Kennedy, starring Ethan Hawke, called Alive. And, all of these adaptations, all these things so far, one of the things that people have talked about online and kind of in criticism of the different retellings of the events are that all the previous retellings of this event and story do not have any humanity to it. They do not, they either kind of are the plain facts of it and just kind of factually state exactly what happened during every single event that took place on the mountain, or it's kind of a Hollywoodized kind of, bringing light to the situation, kind of using American actors for roles that really should be reserved for, people, who were, of Uruguayan or Spanish or Hispanic descent. So this film immediately gets a tick straight away for just having not only actors who spoke in Spanish, and the film is in Spanish. You can, of course, watch in other languages, but naturally you should watch it in Spanish because it's absolutely amazing. The acting performances that are given, but also having unknown actors. I mean, the people on the plane in real life were not known before the plane crash happened. And, it's an event that doesn't need a big star, a big name attached to it, like Ethan Hawke in Alive, which was in 1993, I believe. This film, I was going in expecting to be a thriller. I was expecting it to be a kind of a adventure thriller, as it's described on IMDb. No, this film is a horror film, is the best way of putting it. It's a real life biopic kind of horror, and depicts some of the most visceral and horrific events I think I've ever seen, to the point where I was actually quite frightened by the things that I was watching and the retelling of these events. You really feel it in this film. And J.A. Bayona, um, who's dabbled in, disaster dramas before with The Impossible, he really dives into kind of how barren and how hopeless and how dire the situation was with, people dying around you amongst various different things. They go through so much in this film. Just past surviving the first plane crash, surviving the first night in a storm, surviving, bones being broken, infections, avalanches, humanity at the very, very, very limit. It's an absolutely incredible film. Most of the film is told from the perspective of one of the survivors, and called Nuna, and he puts on a phenomenal performance. So I want to give some credit to this actor, Enzo Forgriničić. He plays Numa in the film, and we see it through his eyes. We see it through kind of his memories and his flashbacks and his retelling of kind of how everyone's kind of dealing with the event. As the situation gets on, I mean, the plane crash itself, I would highly suggest you go and kind of have a look at, and get a little bit, not too much information, but a little bit of information on first. But I'll put it this way: the plane survivors, they survive out there for 70 plus days. They only have enough food for 10. Cannibalism may or may not be involved in this film. And, it really is kind of seeing the dire stretches of humanity. It's like the thing without the thing being there is just the human surviving. It's fantastic. I actually really, really like this film. Not only do you have the beautiful cinematography of the mountains kind of in there and the kind of sparseness of them being stranded out there, but every single character in the film, you can tell their own personal traits, their own kind of religious beliefs, their own self belief systems, their own ways of survival, their own tactics to get out of there, their own kind of highs and lows throughout the day. You experience all in it in this massive retelling of this. It's absolutely phenomenal and incredible on every single account. And just to top it off, they managed to get Michael Giacchino to do the score, and it's a fantastic score to go along with it. I found myself, going on and making sure that I had written down all the kind of musical, like the score parts, which I really, really liked, and throwing it onto my film playlist, which I have on Spotify, just because it was so good and so striking and really kind of caught me in the moment. The emotions really do run high in this film, and you feel for the survivors, you feel for the people who are perishing, you feel for their situation, especially when hope really does lose kind of it absolutely goes. And I implore everyone to go and watch this film. I absolutely implore everyone to go and watch this film. It's still stated down as adventure drama history. It's a horror film. It really is. Some of the most visceral stuff, like I said, I'd seen on screen. Amazing sounds kind of coming from, sound effects and stuff like that from various different scenes. The crash itself, the CGI could have been a little bit better, but for it's Netflix money, but it's not a big, hit Netflix money. This is a foreign language feature which probably dealt with a lesser budget. There isn't really much more I can talk about this film other than ranting about how good it is and how much I really enjoyed it without really spoiling anything. I mean, it's a real life event that took place, but I'm sure that people who may not have been clocked onto this film may not have been clocked onto it. I don't want to spoil who survives. I don't want to spoil how various people die. But I mean, I've already talked through the different ways that things have taken place, and the fact that the cannibalism is involved in this film. Definitely not one to watch whilst you are eating, but definitely one to absolutely go and watch. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this film when it comes up to Oscar season. It's in a very tough category this year. It's in a very tough category this year. It's up against films like Past Lives, Anatomy of a Fall. There are others in that category which are doing really, really well as well. So it's in a really, really kind of tough category as far as best foreign language feature. But I really do hope that it gets put forward either for that or cinematography or even for the score, because all three really do deserve it. And once again, I want to give credit to the actors, the unknown actors who are brought into these roles, because across the board, phenomenal performances. I want to shout out as well Augustin Pardella, who plays Nando. He was absolutely fantastic in the film, kind of shining through his leadership in some parts, shining through his almost crazy in other parts. And I mean, they all got the right memo. They all got the memo of you've got to stretch your humanity out here, and you've got to really kind of show what it means to survive in minus 30 degrees in the wilderness on your own for 70 days. Brilliant true life story. I do, and I will probably go back and rewatch Alive just so I've got a comparison between the two. But straight away, all I'm going to say is the fact that Ethan Hawke's in there and it's an American produced film, it does make me a little bit skeptical about it actually being a natural retelling of what took place. Whereas, looking at reviews for this film already, people are already saying that it's a very, very kind of natural retelling, almost a direct retelling of what took place. I mean, they had some of the actual survivors, coming in on set and showing up at the premiere and talking about the film and talking about their own experiences and everything like that. So it feels really like a massive passion project for those involved. And I mean, it's a 15 rated film. Like I said, once again, it's very visceral. It really goes down to the point. So I'm really happy with this film. This is a fantastic start to the year for me as far as films are concerned. Had me on the edge of my seat the entire time, and I genuinely think that people should go and watch it for not just the score, not just the acting, but just everything in general. This is a fantastic story retold by a director who, I mean, I've seen some of his stuff, not all of his stuff, but it's promising, and it's on Netflix now worldwide, so go and watch it. The only other criticism I can give it, and this is once again another criticism of another Netflix film. Netflix, I mean, we know that you are a streaming platform. We know that you have, on some occasions, put things out in cinemas. This film felt too small for my laptop screen, basically. This film felt way too small. This needs to be seen, especially when you've got Michael Giacchino doing the score. We need a cinematic experience of this film. That's a real big criticism of it. And I guess the fact that it wasn't at London Film Festival when it was at Venice and other film festivals is a little bit frustrating. But anyway, thank you for watching our review of Society of the Snow. It was just me just talking about how good the film was the entire time. I'd highly recommend you go and watch it. If you have watched it, I want to see what your comments are down below. And if you've seen a live, tell me your comments on a live so you can compare the two. Any other films directed by J.A. Bayona as well. I want to see what people think about him as director. So please go and comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, all of the other things as well. Please also go and follow us on our link tree, which will take you to all of our social medias, including our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Letterboxd. And go into the Redbubble in the description to pick up some merch from our channel, help support the channel coming into 2024. Thank you ever so much for watching. This was a very brief review of a brief film to start off the year. I really enjoyed it. I'd once again highly recommend go and watch it. Go and watch it. Go and watch it. But anyway, thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.